guys, it's me. Listen, Uncle Tommy's here, so you know what I've got. Yep, I got the donuts. How's your donut, Tommy?
Very good.
Excellent. You guys, I know today is Thursday. I had told you in my dojo comments that I was going to upload some things to you on Think Central, so please take the time to work on those items that are assigned. And also, I'll be posting some videos after to let you know about the rest of our lessons. But right now, I want us to have the opportunity to get back into Edward Tulane, the miraculous journey of Edward Tulane. The last time we were together, friends, we found out that Bryce is walking through that door frame of the store. That doll maker mended Edward. So let's see what happens next. And so Edward Tulane was mended, put back together again, cleaned and polished, and dressed in an elegant suit, and placed on a high shelf for display. From this shelf, Edward could see the whole shop. Mr. Clark's workbench and the windows to the outside world and the door that the customers used to enter and leave. From this shelf, Edward saw Bryce open the door one day and stand in the threshold. That's a great word. The silver harmonica in his left hand flashing brilliantly in the sunlight, flooding in through the windows. "Young sir," said Lucas, "I'm afraid that we made a deal." Can't I see him?" He wiped his hand across his nose, and the gesture filled Edward with a terrible feeling of love and loss. "I just want to look at him." Mr. Clark sighed. You may look, and then you must go and not come back. I cannot have you in my shop every day, mooning over what you have lost." "Yes, sir." Lucas sighed again. He got up from his workbench and went to Edward's shelf and picked him up and held him so that Bryce could see him. "Hey, Jangles, you look good. Last time I seen you, you looked terrible. Your head was busted in and..." "He's put back together again, as I promised you he would be." Bryce nodded. He wiped his hand across his nose. Can I hold him?" "Nope." Bryce nodded again. "Tell him goodbye. He is repaired. He has been saved. Now you must tell him goodbye." Goodbye," said Bryce. "Don't go," thought Edward. "I won't be able to bear it if you go." "And now you must leave," said Mr. Clark. "Yes, sir." But Bryce stood without moving, looking at Edward. "Go! Just go!" "Please," thought Edward, "don't." Bryce turned. He walked to the door of the doll maker's shop, and the door closed. The bell tinkled, and Edward was alone. Now, friends, the next chapter shows 6 dolls on 2 shelves. It looks like an array. That's what it looks like to me. 3 on top, 3 on bottom. Or one group of 2, another group of 2, and another group of 2. These are pretty fancy looking China dolls. We know that Edward does not like the China dolls, but that's where he lives now as a China rabbit. Let's go to the next chapter. Technically, of course, Edward was not alone. Mr. Clark's shop was filled with dolls. Lady dolls and baby dolls. Dolls with eyes that opened and closed, and dolls with painted on eyes. Dolls dressed as queens, and dolls wearing sailor suits. Edward had never cared for dolls. He found them annoying and self-centered, twitchery and vain. This opinion was immediately reinforced by his first shelf mate, a China doll with green eyes and red lips and dark brown hair. She was wearing a green satin dress that fell to her knees. "What are you?" she said to Edward, and then placed on the shelf next to her. "Well, I'm a rabbit." The doll let out a small squeak. "You're in the wrong place. This is a shop for dolls, not for rabbits." Edward said nothing. "Shoo," said the doll. "I would love to shoo," said Edward, "but it's obvious that I cannot." After a long silence, the doll said, "I hope that you don't think everyone is going to buy you." Again, Edward said nothing. The people who came in here want dolls, not rabbits. They want baby dolls, elegant dolls, like myself. Dolls with pretty dresses, dolls with eyes that open and close. "I have no interest in being purchased," said Edward. The doll gasped. You don't want someone to buy you? Oh, you don't want to be owned by a little girl who loves you? Sarah Ruth, Abilene. Their names went through Edward's head like the notes of a sad, sweet song. I've been loved, said Edward. I've been loved by a girl named Abilene. I've been loved by a fisherman and his wife and a hobo and his dog. I even been loved by a boy who played the harmonica and by a girl who died. Don't talk to me about love. I know love. This impassioned speech shut up Edward's shelfmate for a considerable amount of time. Well, still, my point is that no one is going to buy you. They did not speak to each other again. The doll was sold 2 weeks later to a grandmother who was purchasing her for a grandchild. Yes, she said to Miss Clark, you are right there with that one green dress. That one is lovely. Yes, said Lucas. She isn't she? And he plucked the doll from the shelf. Goodbye and good riddance, thought Edward. The spot next to the rabbit stayed vacant for some time. Day after day, the door to the shop opened and closed, letting in early morning sun or late afternoon light, lifting the hearts of the dolls inside, all of them thinking, when the door swung wide, that this time, the person entering the shop would be the one who wanted them. Edward was the only one alone. He prided himself on not hoping, on not allowing his heart to lift up inside of him. He prided himself on keeping his heart silent, immobile, closed tight. I am done with hope, thought Edward. And then one day, at dusk, right before the shop was going to close, Mr. Clark placed another doll on the shelf next to Edward. Guys, we're going to stop right there. We're on chapter 26. You can see that doll. It looks like a little baby doll right next to Edward. Edward looks quite dashing. Remember, he was mended. But he's just sitting there waiting. Friends, I hope you have a pretty good day. I hope your day is a day that you can fill with things to do, such as go on Think Central, because I do have things to do for you on there. I'll be getting back to you soon with some more videos on our next lessons. Our next lessons are asking us to compare 3-digit numbers. We know how to compare 2-digit numbers, so I know that this next step will seem somewhat familiar. So don't be thinking, the challenge. Think of it as excitement. We're going to jump in the deep end. 3-digit addition is coming. And friends, I look forward to that with you. Have a great day.